This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Great news, everyone. As you can see by the water in this pan here, it is obvious that we have had a solid rain and we are all very happy here at SafariLive. My name is Patrick. Joining me on camera this morning is Craig. And if you have any questions or any comments, use that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. So, as you can see, it's cold, it's dark, and it's wet this morning, and I am not mad at all. We have had a very hot spell. Actually, in fact, it's been a very hot year for me. I started down south in Australia during the summer where it was 40 degrees Celsius, about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Then moved to Grand Cayman where every day it was about 30 degrees Celsius, which is about 86, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I moved up north of Australia where it was again about 40 degrees Celsius every day, which is about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And then finally I ended up here in the summer where once again we're getting up to the 40s every day. So these types of days have become a real blessing this year, which is very strange because earlier on in my life, I hated this weather. I despised it. I just wanted sunshine all the time. Black Rose, good morning to you too. Glad you are calling us all lovely people because that's what we all are. Glad to see you're all watching along today. Aiton, how long do I think that water will last? Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get more rain and it doesn't have to last. Hopefully it builds on itself. But if we do get a few hot days, you will see that it will start to dry up fairly quickly. So it all depends on what the weather is going to do over the next week or so. Now, my plan for today, I have actually heard that there is some wild dogs over the western side. They are pretty active during this weather, so we're really hoping that we can pick up on them. In the meantime, though, I'm going to send you over to Sydney.
A very, very good morning, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. This is Sydney Fumunani Mikosi, and I'm traveling with Senzo, who is my camera operator this morning. We have got a visitor, Conrad, from the technical as well, is interested to come and assist us looking for these animals. For in case if you need our attention, you can send your email, you can send your comments and questions on Twitter, hashtag SafariLive. So I will be looking for the spotted cat this morning. I will be starting from Sydney's Dam area, coming down Buffalo's Hook. Maybe we might be lucky with Hosanna in that area. I haven't seen him yesterday. I saw that Tingana has been spotted somewhere around the Gary Main. So it is very much cold at the moment, and the weather is overcast. It has been drizzling at half past 4 when I was checking the vehicle. I saw it was drizzling, so the trekking this morning will be difficult a little bit. I thank you very, very much for all the good wishes with regards to the leopard stage. Hopefully, we are going to see them. So I just want to first check the border between us and Buffalo's Hook. Maybe we might also be lucky with some of the lions here. So now let's quickly go back to Pat.
Welcome back. Well, I'm still heading down looking for these wild dogs. I haven't quite reached the boundary where they were last seen, so I'm still going down that way now. Finding animals is going to be a little bit trickier this morning due to the fact that we did have the heavy rain last night. It's kind of clean. There won't be anywhere many tracks or signs of animals as the rain will have washed it out. But the kind of upside to that is that if we do see a track or some sort of sign, then we know it must be fresh, it must be recent. So there is a kind of upside to that. But I would really love to see some wild dogs this morning. I haven't seen them in months. I think the last time I saw wild dogs was the first time Lauren ever went live. So that was a solid month and a half ago. So I am missing my little doggos. Mary, wild dogs would definitely be a treat this morning. I'm sure it wouldn't just be a treat for me and you, Mary. I think it would be a treat for everyone. I can't think of one person off the top of my head that would not like to see a wild dog. They are the best. The best. The painted wolves, as they are alternatively known as. Of course, not being actual dogs, as in domestic dogs. So, I mean, I can only hope they are still around. I haven't quite reached that border yet, but while I am making my way, let's go up to the Mara and see David.
Very good morning, and Jumbo from the Mara Triangle in Kenya. And this is not only dark here, however, it's also cold here. 16 degrees Celsius and 61 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's why this one comes in very handy. My name is David, and with me on camera is Archie. Archie, good morning. Very excited to have all of you on board. And as my friends might have told you, as usual, questions, comments, very healthy for us. They keep us going. And my plans today is to go back to my usual favorite area where I like looking for the sausage tree pride of lives. Hopefully I'll be able to see them. I saw them yesterday morning, and the main area of me keeping going there every other day, and especially more so in the morning, is to find out if the one particular lioness has brought us new cubs this new year. Well, I was looking at the eastern horizon, and I can tell you today we might have the best sunrises of them all. It looks so good. It's still so dark for us to be able to capture it, but I think we'll have a wonderful sunrise. We had about 8 days without rain. The short rains that were coming, they gave us a little break for 8 days, and last night in the afternoon we got some showers, and at the moment it is smelling again wonderfully good. So feels good, and I'm very excited to get any news for you on those cubs. So that one particular lioness is not coming out to join the other 4, because the sausage tree pride has 6 members, 6 females, and at the moment 3 cubs. So the whole idea is for us to find out, once she pops them, when will she come out and join the rest of the pride. So total excitement for me. Very, very good. So I want to keep heading there, talk less, do more, and in the meantime we'll take you to my friend Sydney back in Juma.
I have got something very much interesting here the insects, the flying ants. We have been talking about the reproductives, the swarms, the flying ants for a lot of time now. Now I found them coming out. We are lucky. By this termite mound, we have got the flying ants. Those that are flying for reproduction purposes. They're just everywhere, you can see there. And this is what we eat. These are the allets. So they are leaving the termite mounds. After leaving these termite mounds, you will see they are going to form partnerships. And one of them, you will see, they are all going to shade their wings and they will start following each other, following each other's pheromones. Females secrete kind of a scent. A male is going to follow. After mating, they will drill the ground, go under the ground, lay eggs, and starts to produce a lot of babies. And then they will form the small departments. First department will be workers. And then when the workers are too much, they will now go and look for the soldiers to come and protect the workers as they're on duty. So it's quite a lot of them here. And you can see, like here, there's a lot of small termites who are just everywhere. So these are those who are looking after the flying ants before they leave the termite mound. So it means they have been going out here for a while now. I just want to see if we can find, oh, here I've got one here, so that you can see. So I've got, oh, that one else, I lost it. So you can see they're all flying much more towards that side. So as a vendor, I am part of this, what is called entomophagy. Entomophagy has got something to do with a human eating the insects. So these kind of insects, they form part of the major diet where I come from. Both the reproductives as well as the big soldiers and small workers themselves. So now I can see it's quite a lot of them living. So it means the termite mounds are going to multiply in this area. I haven't seen them coming out for a while now. This year, I think it is the second time I'm seeing them. So normally they come out every day after heavy rains during the night, and sometimes when it's raining. In the middle of rain, you can see them flying. Kathy, the flying ants, this is how it works. The flying ants are produced by the termites. In there, we have got the royalty. We have the king and the queen. The king is responsible to mate with the queen. The queen is going to also save some of the sperms in her abdomen so that by her next time of reproduction, she doesn't have to mate with the king. So now, there is different departments as I indicated. They lay eggs. After that, they are going to determine the babies. These ones will be soldiers, these ones will be workers, and the other ones will be the reproductive. Reproductive, they are coming. They are just the babies of the termites. Reason to have them on a different form and having wings is that they cannot mate in that colony because there is a king already and the queen. So that is why they have to leave. So they are also considered termites. Some they call them flying ants, some they call them flying termites. They are also called swarms, and they are also called allets. Some they call them reproductives. I didn't copy your question clearly. Carol, the reproductives or the allets, they all stay in the same termite mound until the right time comes. They are in there until now. After this rain, reason for them to leave now is that the conditions are suitable for them to fly in the following manner. they have to drill, so the ground must not be that very hard. By this time when it's raining is when after mating they can easily dig and hide for protection because they've got quite a lot of predators. If you open the termite mound by one of the chambers, they are staying in there. You will see quite a lot together. So there is quite a lot of them under the ground. They're just waiting to get the information that now is the right time you can fly. There are some of those termites, the one with the mandibular parts, who are checking the weather outside to check if it's suitable to release them. So there is a serious communication taking place. And now let's cross over to Pat and see how Pat is doing.
Well, still not doing all that well, still bumbling about, keeping an eye and an ear open for any signs of wild doggo. But of course, on the way, still seeing if there is actually just anything else about. It's almost as if there wasn't wind, I would have thought time has completely stood still this morning. It is a very quiet morning out here. Although the cooler weather, we will get a bit more chance of an active cat, an active lion, or an active leopard. Blair, are the dingoes related to the wild dogs? Well, not directly, you know, it's not a close relationship, but they are still grouped within the same suborder. So they are still somewhat related. It's not like they are very, very, very closely related though. There's a lot of differences in them as well. If you look at their colour, the coat colour, even their build and general shape and size. Wild dogs have more of a poodle-ish kind of look, whereas the dingo has a bit more of a kelpie kind of look. It is cool though to see two kind of different species of dogs in two different continents, here in Africa and back home in Australia. It is good to know that there is still some other dogs than just the domestic dogs left. David, how much rain did we get last night? Well, it was about 13 mils that we got, so it was a pretty heavy rain. Tristan said that he hasn't had a rain like that for quite some time here, so it has been very refreshing. I didn't actually hear it. I think it must have started a little bit after my bedtime, but I definitely knew about it when I woke up. I went straight to the cupboard and put on my jacket, which is something I haven't done for quite some time now. So I'm still, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the wild dogs. Still keeping my eyes and my ears out. There's also obviously Tundi spotted in the area as well, so she might even make an appearance. We never know what's going to happen out here. I'm going to keep on the grind though and send you up to the Mara with David.
Good luck, and I'm sure you might be very lucky to see the wild dogs at one point. Brother John, I'm going to throw you to the eastern horizon and see how it looks at the moment before we get better light. So that is the eastern horizon that I'm hoping possibly when things work out and we have the right moment for that ball of sun to push up, it will be so very colorful. And you see it looking that way. When I'm saying we're waiting for the right light to come out, is because we are already in infrared. It's rather dark, as I said, than it is in South Africa. That's why when you see it that way, it looks black and white. But as soon as things get better, that general area will be looking very colorful. Well, I am still on the road, destination Sausage Republic. Now, I'm just feeling some amount of joy that possibly today we'll be able to see, even if those calves not come out. The last I saw that mother was 4 days ago, and if she has dropped them, it's between that time. But normally after the 7th day, when they're able to open their eyes, they can start, wriggling and walking around. I'm trying to imagine, say anything from the 5th of January or the next 2 days, we might hear, even if we don't see them, we might hear them like, calling, or the mother trying to communicate with them. Well, I got some ellies here, which might interrupt my visit to the Sausage Republic, but I think elephants in the morning are not bad to see, especially here in the Mara Triangle. Let me just back up a little bit. We're good. I gotta talk to these ellies and find out. It's so close to the road. It's a small little family, about 5, 6 of them, and just grazing there, as should be the norm. And as soon as we have their correct natural light, it'll be looking even more wonderful. It may look black and white now, just because it's still a bit dark. So we're using an infrared camera, just making sure we get great sightings of that youngster there. Time to eat. Ellie's 12, 18 hours in a day will be feeding. I mean, it's too early for me. I doubt I would even put anything in my mouth except maybe a cup of coffee. But to keep holding these big bodies, these ellies have to keep eating a lot and for very many hours. So you'd imagine when you can spend 18 hours in a day eating, or as they say 12 to 18, a day of 24 hours, you're only left with 6 hours. Quick drink, quick nap, walking through the bushes, and sometimes they even eat as they walk. Grab something and keep chewing and swallowing. And you can see the young calf there following mama, learning a lot from the mother. This is how you go, and the mother's trying to have a little poo break. Shuna, good morning, and how are you today? And such gorgeous ellies, and especially that calf there. Not sure she wants to nurse. Shuna, you might be very lucky for New Year, mama who is doing a poo, and the baby is nursing on the other side. I'm not sure that's how you start your year, but then it happens. The mother decided to move on. Tell the baby, you're becoming big now, start getting used to eating grass. How majestic. And as much as these animals always look very big, if you'd be lying in that grass just next to them, you might be surprised. You may not even hear them passing you. They got like special foot. They got like pads on their feet just to give them some pretty good balance, and that absorbs a lot of noise or cracking sound as they walk through the savannah. Hello, baby Ellie. How is your new year looking? Any resolution for you? I highly doubt, and any resolutions for them is to learn from their parents, and more so their mothers, because the youngsters will always remain in the herd. Nature girl, a very good morning, and that's a very interesting question. Can an elephant be ever considered an overweight? I highly doubt. I mean, we have seen the big boys, some of them going up to 6 tons, 6 tons, 13, 14,000 pounds, which is quite normal, and maybe those are the days when we had that lineage of elephants that was so big. But then unfortunately, Nature girl had issues with poaching, and they lost all the tusks. But I think it's very difficult to consider them overweight, because everything to them works out in a good proportionality. And unlike human beings, where we get obese because of different feeding habits, Nature girl, ellies will remain herbivores. And for that reason, they do not get introduced to anything that is artificial. Human beings, we're coming with all the sugars, I'm sure you know, and you're experimenting new food every other day. And before our bodies agree, I would guess with that, is when sometimes you get obesity. Elephants in general, they have an average, weight, but as I said, males weighing a lot more than the females. Big girls could be 3,000, 3,500 kilos. Boris, good question. How long do ellie sleep for? Now, I was trying to calculate earlier, and I said they would feed 12 to 18 hours, depending, of course, on age, size, food availability, etc., etc. Now, they're left with 6 hours. A fully grown elephant would maybe take an average of about, 50 gallons of water per day? Now, what is the spread of that 50 gallons? Definitely it's not in one sitting. So maybe 20 in the morning, another maybe 25 in midday when it's hot, maybe another 5 at night. So how long does that take? We normally see them having little naps under trees, in the heat of the day. And I would say they just sleep for a couple of minutes. It's very difficult to estimate exactly how long they sleep. So my guess is that they just sleep for a couple of minutes and then they keep moving on. I'd be happy to know exactly how long they sleep for. And if they're mothers, definitely, the mothers have a lot to do. They have to take care of the calves, they have to look around, they have to make sure everything's safe. I would say they sleep for a couple of minutes, and they have what we'd call cat naps under a tree with some nice shade. Close the eyes, sleep, open, look. And very unusual to see these big ellies sleeping on their sides. You've seen many animals, buffaloes, giraffes, laying down, but not the elephants. Sinak elephants can walk, and elephants, you'll be surprised, can walk between 20 to 30 miles in a day. They can walk, and they walk for like 20, 30 miles in a day. And the reason they'll do that, Sinak, they'll be definitely looking for different feeding grounds. So 20, 30 miles in a day, Sinak, it's very possible for ellies to move. And what they do, they walk very slowly, very slowly. They never walk very quickly, and they always have no reason to walk very quickly. They get the right place they want to get the food, that's where they stay. They get the drinking water, that's where they stay. If you get them, or if they get to an area where they have easy accessibility of food on one side and water on the other side, they tend to stick to that area for quite some time. Well, my mission continues with the Sausage Republic, and let's go back to my friend Pat.
Good luck with your mission, David. We haven't had much luck here either. We just stopped to show you all a bushveld rain frog, but alas, it has camouflaged very well in there and now has gone missing. So I'm not sure what happened there. We do apologise for this poll. As you all should know by now, it has been raining a bit and we are expecting a little bit more, so we just have this rain cover up. So, onwards, we just stopped in here. This is where Tangana and Tundi were both seen last night, and there was a bit of alarm shouting from Franklin's and go-away birds. So we've just patrolled the area, but the alarm shouting has stopped and nothing is really showing up. So we shall continue on the search for the wild dogs. Remember, stay interactive. That's what this show is all about. Hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter, and just type it into the YouTube chat stream if you are using that. Onwards we go. This is also my first drive of the new year, so happy New Year's everybody. And it seems like Sydney is starting the new year with something very grey, but in the best kind of way. Let's go see Sydney.
So you can see I've got a very beautiful sighting. The elephants, they are now moving much more towards the southern side of the game reserve, and all they are doing today is showing us their back. They don't want to look at me. They are just on the road, keep moving. You can see there's even a little one somewhere in the middle there, and this little one is still very much small. You can see the gap between the stomach of the mother and the ground that the little one can easily just fit in there. So that little one passed through the middle in between the legs. So these elephants must be heading towards the central in order to feed in the middle, as they were not feeding when we found them, they were just walking. You see, one of the differences between African and Asian elephant is that the African elephants, they've got a flat back. You can see there. Whereas the Asian elephant, they've got a round back. And the ears, African elephants, the ears resembles the African map. So I'm just going to pull further so that we can improve the sighting. I can see now they are next to the road. A child of the universe, that baby is still very much small. It must be about 3 months old now. Very big animals can easily disappear. Apologies for the pole. I've got my roof this afternoon. As you can see that it's overcast and it has been drizzling. So all I'm hearing now is the dung beetles. The dung beetles are just flying everywhere here. It means they are now sniffing the meal. Elephants must be excreting quite a lot of droppings, which is attracting these dung beetles. So these animals, they eat 400 kilograms of food a day. The biggest elephant I have seen, it was the elephant, I don't know if this elephant is still alive, is the elephant from the Kruger National Park, and his name was Duke. Duke was so very big, and I saw him from while I was still at primary school. When we used to visit the Kruger National Park a long time ago, I have seen it early 90s. Early 90s, we saw Duke, and I saw Duke again while I was on guiding. But I didn't guide in Kruger National Park, but when we went there for some other events as a guide, I saw Duke again. So maybe he's still alive, but he was a very beautiful big elephant with very long tusks. So I'm just seeing some tracks here. As the hyena tracks. So now that the ground is very wet, so these tracks, sometimes you don't see the claws nicely because the tracks, they are going deep on the ground. So I can see on the ground, there's not too much tracks. So the matriarch, mostly you will see when she is not happy, she does take action. But who is responsible for discipline maintenance is the old males. The old big males is the ones who normally calm down the elephants who are fighting. So the matriarch, yes, she does sometimes intervene when there are problems in the head, but the discipline normally who get called is the old males to come and maintain order. If you can check, elephants that are introduced in an area without old males, they are very aggressive and temperamental, and they even attack vehicles, they attack rhinos, they attack other animals. But once a big male is brought, you will see they are going to all behave nicely. You can see now that the ears I was talking about is resembling the continent Africa. So that one I can see is still very much small. I don't think it's ready yet for mating, but I can see that it's working now on the 5th leg. So I'm just going to try and pull forward and see if we can. Yeah, that is Duke. That elephant, first time I saw it, I was so nervous. I think I was by the primary school on grade 1. It was so very big when we saw it next to the bus, and we were traveling in a bus. And good luck. It was before we met our environmental interpretative officer. We were still on the way to the environmental center where we were going to get lessons. And we met that elephant. So it was fantastic. So I can see that these elephants are now, some of them going much more deep in these thick bushes. I'm going to carry on much more towards east and see if we can find Inkuhumas and see what they've been up to last night or any other cat. Oh, Duke died in 2007 from old age. Yeah, I didn't get that update because last time I saw him it was when he was treated. 2011. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you very much for updating me. So that's why I said I'm not sure if he's still alive, because the last time I saw him he was so big and he was looking old. So now let's quickly cross over to David in the Masai Mara. Maybe David is lucky with cats this morning. I don't know.
Well, elephants are some of the largest animals that you see. I would say, well, we all know elephants are the largest mammals in the world. But some, as I was saying earlier, or Sydney is saying, are really massive and they are really huge. And especially the males. There's an area in Kenya that's called Laikipia, and Laikipia is north. If you look on the African map and look at Kenya, we have the equator line coming through. So the Mara, we're in the south of the equator. And the area I'm talking about is further north of the equator. And Laikipia, they have very huge elephants in that area. I might have seen them have been about 1,000 weight, over 7,000 kilos. Must have been a very huge elephant. Of course, it's not there anymore. And what the government did, I'm just trying to sneak on the sun to see whether it has come out. Not yet. So what the government of Kenya did, because he was such a huge my apologies, once in a while we'll get some technical issues. You lose our visuals and you lose our sound. Voices is just because we are coming a long way from the African wilderness to get to where you are. Sorry about that. So that particular elephant was and kept in the museum, and he had become a celebrity. As I said, he could have been over 15,000 pounds in weight. Well, elephants are big, and they still remain some of the most celebrated animals in Africa. My you will never go wrong, and you can spend about 1 hour with one elephant, because he will definitely be doing something. It will not the case, but you know, for example, just for a second, I have permission. Well, I think I'm still getting hunted by some gremlins, and let me first take you back to Sydney in South Africa. All right, if I stop, the director is saying I'm doing a better job and the gremlins are not hunting me. Not sure what 2019 and gremlins got to do with me, but I'm sure at one point our hard-working engineers will be able to sort out that misery. And yeah, there we are. What it's before, but I was trying to show you how massive and how big they can look. Now, we might be going to our great, wonderful natural color, and we are out of infrared camera, and you can see the green, the white on the tusks of this Ellis, the grayish, you know, black we see on them, so much mud they got on their bodies. But these are some of the cleanest tusks of elephants I've seen for the last couple of months, because with the rains coming, and when it rains, definitely unlike us, the elephants get rained on, and they have been cleaned very nicely by the short rains. Is that true, elephant? And you can see this one needs to wash her eyes. Her eyes have a little white at the end. Minamu, how are you today? And very nice to hear your name. I'm sure I told you happy, I doubt. If I didn't, Happy New Year, Minamu. And you are trying to look at 22 months for that mama looking at us there carrying a baby. 22 months, not sure the calf behind her is her baby, but they got the largest or the longest, rather not the largest, the longest gestation period of
I apologize for the bad signals, and now I am heading much more towards east as I indicated. I am checking if the ground has got something, and it is drilling here where I am. I can see that I've got to also protect my equipment very quickly. I can see that this rain might affect my monitor here. So now I am hoping to see some cats this side. I saw some hyena tracks. They are not that fresh, but they are from last night. Maybe it was early this morning, but because of the rain, it's difficult to judge. So I don't think these animals are going to go to the specific water holes this week. As I can see, some of the water holes are starting to fill up again. So this is also one of the temporary water holes the animals have just created themselves. Who is leading this creation of water holes? Obviously is the elephants. They come and they open the space and look at how this is growing. So, and this one now, I can promise you, predators, they are going to lack it, because there is quite a lot of vegetation around it where they can be able to conceal and launch the surprise attack. Predators such as the leopards, they are going to enjoy coming to this kind of water holes. And this water hole is not very far away from the Mluwati dry river bed. So they will be sleeping there during the day, come and catch in these kind of areas. Chili pepper, there is always enough water for the elephants in Juma, because we are having both natural water holes as well as the man-made. So water is never a problem. So that is why during the dry season, if you checked, we used to have quite a lot of big heads of buffaloes here and lots of elephants. Those animals were much more attracted by water availability in the area. We are not going to see these animals if there's no water. Water is very much essential. Some of these animals are so very much water dependent. So now I am back at Juma by the eastern side, where I am going to be looking for these cats as I indicated. Maybe the Unkuhuma got something from last night. Samantha, fortunately the buffaloes and elephants, they do engage with each other when going to the water holes, but they don't really fight. So the elephants, what they don't like is predators. You will see they do charge predators, but mostly these other animals, they don't really care. I have seen elephants charging rhinos. Yes, sometimes there is those kind of challenges, But buffaloes, they are not a threat at all, and elephant seems not having a problems with the buffaloes. Yeah, there is no fresh tracks here. So buffaloes are one of those animals I haven't seen for a while. But yesterday I was hoping to see them because I know that the Unkuumas, normally the Unkuumas, they come here after seeing the buffaloes. They come following the buffaloes. I'm just trying to listen to hear if there is some alarm call. So now let's quickly go back to Pat, who is searching for the wild dogs.
Yes, still on the search indeed. We did have a little bit of a hindrance, a little bit of a hiccup. Accidentally got myself a bit of a flat tyre, so we had to stop and change that one, or a flatty, as I would call it back home in Australia. But still going on for the wild dogs. Not much happening in the way of activity. I haven't been hearing much over the radio. There hasn't been a whole lot of shouting or alarm calling or any real signs of anything major happening right now. So the only thing to do in this situation is to just keep searching, keep searching, keep searching. Something's going to come up. Eventually something will come up. Of course, I did say obviously that the rain is going to make it hard to find tracks as well. But it'll make any sighting we do have all the more special. So I'm not going to stop looking, but I am going to throw you up to the Mara to see David again.
Bob, don't give up. Keep searching for them because it's by trying that you'll be lucky. And I've always liked what Sydney keeps saying, well, you're out here in the African wilderness, expect the unexpected. I don't know what that means. Or, you know, the drives are always very unpredictable. You get a flat tire and you're fixing your flat tire, and as you start doing it, you check will always come out of the car, especially like here in the Mara, when we get a flat tire and we do small claps like that, just making sure there's no lion on a leopard sleeping in the grass. And if need be, sometimes it gets more rough, just throw around the area. And once we're granted, or we know it's safe to change the tire, then we do that. But occasionally, we have noticed as you finish doing that, you pick up some lion that was lying somewhere, you know. So, but you should not be surprised, you know, that it could be anything, anytime. I'm getting very close to the Sausage Republic area, and there's one particular part when I get close there, which is pretty high, very raised. I'll always stop and look in front of me with my far lookers. I'm talking about my binoculars to see whether I can see them moving. Yesterday morning, I was almost giving up, but I just took one corner and I saw one of the females on the termite mound that we call the king kettle. King kettle, we call her king kettle. She got a bend on her tail, and the good news about her, she's also pregnant. So I got a feeling the other lioness I was talking about earlier will have the calves before king kettle, and then king kettle is going to follow suit very shortly. I do not know when, but it could be any time this month. It will not be beyond January. Living, that's a very good question. I'm very impressed and very happy. In the Mara Triangle, we got over 10 tribes of lions. And the largest one is called Olololo. Can you say that after me? Olololo. Very good. Well done. So that's the largest pride. And it has 16 members when they are all together. Will you believe that? 16 lions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. It got fathers, they're fully grown, and some youngsters, about 7 of them. So when they are all together, it is 16. Then we have other prides that will have 10, other prides will have 8, and other prides will have 12. The smallest pride, just having told you the largest, which is 16 members, the smallest pride, it's called Mogoro, and that pride has 3 girls. I guess there are 3 sisters, that's my guess, and there are 3 girls. That's the smallest pride, and the largest being 16. I'm trying to remember the pride in South Africa called the Nukuhumas when I was there, and I think it could be right. It has 11 members. So seeing 16, it's quite a big number of lions together. All right, have to calm down here slowly. It's always one very tricky place, and hopefully my signal will keep holding until I get down. We've got wonderful cars, albeit part getting a flat tire. You know, those are things that will happen once in a while. Feeling slightly bit warmer than before, but as I head to those sausages or to that pride, for those of you who have never joined us before and they wonder why we call them the sausage lions, I want to show you why we call them that by showing you that tree. There's a tree that made us name them. Is that good, Archie? Now, we'll name our cats here in Africa by their behavior and by how they look. The tree coming to your screen there, that tree is called the sausage tree. Why do we call it a sausage tree? Because if you look at those fruits hanging down there, those trees take the shape of a sausage, and that's why we call this tree the sausage tree. Now the sausage pride, have been known to climb this tree to shade themselves and to run away from the flies on the ground when they get irritated. And because we've got so many types of trees in the Mara, and they prefer this one more often than not, the tree they like climbing, that's why we ended up naming them the sausage tree pride. Does that make any sense? Well, those fruits, the lions will not eat them, but you've seen ellies eating them, giraffes eating them, and occasionally some baboons. Not a lot of nutritional value in them, but they're very good for digestion because they got lots of fiber. Back in the village, we use them to ferment some local wine when we have celebrations, wedding celebrations, when we harvest lots of food, and we're doing a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, and the adults want to have a drink, not for children. We'll use it to ferment some wine and using water. Connie, as you were saying earlier, we do not eat them. I doubt anything would happen if you eat them, but they're very good for making wine. They got lots of fiber, and I do not know that they have any nutrition value. Not any vitamins I know of, not any minerals I know of, but when it comes to fermenting wine, they are just wonderful. And it takes about 3 days, and what we do, we get a very big gourd of water. We put about 20 liters of water, and we'll always wait until these fruits are ripened and fallen down. We never pick them, and then we put some sugar in the water. And on the second day, we put about 1 kilo or 2 of honey, and then on the third day, we remove the husk of this fruit and put it there for 1 day, and then put it close to fire to ferment slowly. And I'll tell you, the wine that comes out of there, because I am over 18, I drink it once in a while. It is just wonderful. It's very mellow, it's very sweet, and it reminds me of a liqueur, you know. And the good news about it, the day after when you wake up, you have no hangover, and you wake up straight and you'll go to work. Not even the slightest headache. It's very, very nice. The only challenge is if you take so much and it comes time to go to the loo, when you stand up, you'll always straight come down to your seat. And you have always learned that's the time you stop taking it. Very good. So, we need to look for my friends, and I'm talking about the lions that are always found not very far from here, but that's how the sausage tree looks like, and that's why we call that pride. Thank you very much for that lesson, and thank you for listening to me. Now, I was talking to he 11 years old, and I was talking about the largest pride of lions, and I said it's called the Olololo, and we call that pride the Olololo because where the Gilbert, very good, thank you very much. Gilbert, thank you very much, Gilbert. So I was talking to you, Gilbert, of the largest pride of lions in the Mara Triangle, and it's called the Olololo. Now, Olololo is not a tree. Olololo is an area, and they have established that territory, Gilbert, and they never move away from there. So those ones, we have not named them because of their behavior. We have named them because of where they live. So they tend to stick around that area, and they never go very far. So that area, we have a name for it. We call it the Olololo, and there's an escarpment there also called Olololo, and we stay on top of that escarpment. That's where we have our camp. So depending on where we get these lions, depending on how they behave, or depending on how they look, that's how we name them. And Gilbert, there's another coalition. You see, when you have lions as groups, females with young ones, Gilbert, we call that a pride. Taylor, very good to hear you again today. And yes, I mean, depending on where the pride is and depending on what prey is available, that's what they tend to go for. We've got areas where you'll always see the wildebeest. The wildebeest are the animals that migrate between Kenya and Tanzania, or between Serengeti and the Mara. Now, we've got particular areas of the Mara Triangle, also Serengeti, where those wildebeest tend to stick there. But for example, where we are now, not one single wildebeest we can see, and maybe not until next year in June. So the pride that I'm looking for, that's called the sausages, they'll end up hunting buffaloes, because the buffaloes do not migrate, and when they migrate, they're just moving within short distances. So we'll get the lions specializing to hunting particular prey. But the areas, for example, that I'm saying, the wildebeest and the zebras tend to remain there. They'll always get used to hunting those particular small prey. And going back to Gilbert, I was talking of when you see males together, Gilbert, that means, well, we call them a coalition, but it's females and young ones, we'll call them a pride. Now, there's a particular coalition that is very famous where we are in the Mara Triangle that we call the Scaffies. And I'm talking about how we identify or how we understand animals. So that coalition, it's called the Scaffies. One of the male lions there have a very huge scar on the eye, and I think he was involved in a fight. Sometimes boys will fight. So that particular coalition or group of male lions, we'll call it a coalition. So depending on how they look, depending on what they do, or depending on where they're found, that's how we end up giving them names. And of course, we live here, we know them very well. So Taylor, the sausages are very good in hunting buffaloes. And what happens is, because buffaloes are big animals and sometimes dangerous because of their horns, it's not always easy, Taylor, for the lions to bring down buffaloes. You notice the lionesses will need the hand of a male to bring down a buffalo. But what I'm saying here, the sausages, as girls on their own, Taylor, have been able to bring down buffaloes without the help of a male. So they are specialized in that. There's another national park in Kenya that's called Tsavo National Park. That's east towards the ocean or towards Mombasa. And we've got lions there that we call the buffalo lions. And those buffalo lions have always been known to hunt buffaloes and nothing else. If they open their eyes and just go back and have a nap. Well, I need to concentrate now and look for my friends or for my favorite. Yes, here I am, and we'll go back to South Africa, to Sydney Mikosi.
So I've just been updated that there is some fresh tracks which has been spotted for the two Madodangalas, which means two male lions, somewhere around the Galago area. So I'm going to be checking there. Let's hope we are going to see the Avoca males, the two males that we saw a few days ago. Maybe those are the ones. The rain is also increasing now. So let's hope we're going to find them before they disappear with this rain. Mary Ellen, the Lion Pride, when they split, Aubrey coming? I've just now gone past the turn off to the Galagomati. Which turn off were you referring to? I'm just trying to get the clear direction of where things are happening. It looks like they've got the lions somewhere here in front now. Oh, there's some giraffe tracks here at the moment. There was a question about the breakup of the pride, if these animals still remain in the same territory or they move out. The lions, they've got two kind of a social structure, which is coalition and the pride. When they split, you will see some of them still in the same territory. Sometimes some can go to the other one's territory. We've got a good example of the Mangeni males. Mangeni males don't belong to this territory, but we have got them here in Juma now. So they can stay in the same territory or they can move on and find the other territories. So these lions must be somewhere in this block. Maybe these avocas are following the Unkuhuma pride. Because last week we saw them on Buffer's Hook, and then a few days ago they were in Juma. And this Unkuhuma pride, I didn't hear them last night roaring and before that, but we found them. They are very quiet these days. Maybe they're just trying to avoid the avocas. We'll never know. Elephants has also been here. So now let's quickly go to Pat and hear how his search is doing with the rain.
Well, yes, it is starting to rain out here. We've just put the covers up. I don't think it's going to get heavy. It is just kind of spitting. But anyway, our search for the wild dogs didn't end up producing any results. So we decided to come check in on the hyena den this morning. And again, nada. So onwards we go. I need to formulate a new plan now, and I'm just trying to think of that. So maybe you guys can help me out. Use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream to tell me what you would like to see today. Please try and make it somewhat realistic, especially taking into consideration this weather and the fact that it is very densely vegetated at this time of year. But please send in your requests. help me out here, help me formulate the plan. I will also be tagging out with Tristan at some stage during this drive, so keep that in mind as well. He will also be looking out for whatever you would like to see. Kathleen wants Tandi or Tralumba. Well, I would like either of those two. Tandi was seen last night with Tristan, the leopard whisperer. He had yet another multi-leopard sighting. So I really would not mind seeing Tandi. Yes, Joy, I could definitely keep my eye out for a giraffe. Don't see them anywhere near as much here as we do in the Mara. I think I've probably only seen giraffe probably 4 or 5 times in my 2 months at Juma, and then in my 2 weeks in the Mara, I couldn't even tell you how many giraffes I saw. They were all over the place. Of course, being a different species, the Maasai giraffe, slightly bigger. Beard, you want a chameleon climbing up a lion's mane? Well, that's a little bit too easy. Can you give me a challenge or something? I mean, I think I could find that like that. So I'm not even going to try looking for that. It's so easy. I wonder whether it would change colour to blend in to the lion's mane. Child of the universe? Well, it's actually somewhat similar. I mean, it's... Oh, this impala here, while I answer this question, just look at the neck of this impala here, if we can get it, Craig. I might have to move back a little bit. Just this male here, when it turns around, the one closest to us, it has a big tumour on its neck. Sorry, I'll just go back a little bit more. Not that one there, the one to the right. So just the one moving off now. It's not going to turn around for us, is it? But anyway, how does the savannah compare to the outback? Well, it's somewhat similar in the fact that there is a lot of woodlands, or a lot of scrub, as we call it back home, and a big escarpment as well. So there's a lot of rocky outcrops and ledges and stuff like that. So the topography is somewhat similar. The climate is very different, and the animals are very different though. We get kind of a tropical, subtropical climate up in the outback, sometimes even desert-like, whereas here it's a bit more temperamental, a bit more seasonal than what we get up there. And of course we get all those marsupials. Just looking out to see if I can still see that impala's neck. It's gone too far into the thickets. Nico viewer, are there any Australian animals in South Africa? Not that I know of. I don't think there's been any introductions from Australia that I can think of. I'm sure there's been many kangaroo and koalas come across for zoos and habitat showings and things of that nature, but I'm not exactly sure. I don't think there's any actual introductions that have come from Australia to South Africa. I am... maybe I'm one of the introductions from Australia to South Africa. Hopefully I don't become a pest. I'll try not to reproduce too much over here. Geez, it's starting to get very wet right now. We don't have the luxury of the full cover like we do up in the Mara. So I'm sitting up here getting quite damp, but it is refreshing after the weather we have been having. Speaking of the Mara, why don't we make the trek back up north, check back in on Mr. David Gudu and see what he is up to.
Well, I finally got to what I call the sausage area. have not been lucky yet. What we'll always do here is lots of patience. You need to look, you need to listen sometimes, because when it rains, the lions do what? They have to rescent mark all their areas, either by having a little pee in the area, scent marking as they have always done, or that should be more or less for both males and females, but more males. But they also roar a lot in the mornings. More at night, but also during the morning. So when the rains come, they tend to wash and clean everything, so they have to redo it again. So this is one area I'm trying to guess these lions could be, and you try to walk backwards from where you left them. Where could they have seen some prey, or where could they have gone? That's how it makes it easy to try to track them again down. As you know, I was telling Gilbert before, this area is where we'll always see the sausages. They tend to protect this area a lot, and they don't move far from here. Yesterday morning I was almost giving up, and I spotted them coming from one hill to my right there, and where they entered was the bush on my left. So I'm trying to imagine they could still be there, because they had eaten, and those calves had very rounded bellies, which meant they had pounds. Dr. Raf, Happy New Year, Dr. Raf, and I'm the only guide in the Mara now. My friends are coming next week, and have been enjoying it every day. I've been controlling and reigning in this area, and I got my friends who will be coming pretty soon to join me back in Kenya. But at the moment, I am the only guide, and I have Achi with me, Dr. Raf on camera, and I have Bungay in the camp. So I've been working with Bungay. I lost you there. So, and the area I am at the moment, Dr. Raf, I'm the only guide here. Where I am at the moment, I don't see anybody else. And hopefully I can get to their look. I want to stop here and look at something that is so... I'm not sure if actually got to that tree there. It's a secretary bird on top of that tree, maybe? Sorry, look. I'm sure it was something about the guide of the Masimara look. Looks like a secretary bird there. Yes, it's a secretary bird on top of that thorn tree. Thank you, Luke, and I got you. That's what you said. Yes, at the moment, yes, I am the dominant male here, and I don't know where the other males are. Now, when we had the rains, Dr. Raf, this area became very soggy, and not many people could access it, and guys who were scared of coming here and getting stuck. But I've always done what I could to come to this. So currently, as Luke is saying, I am the dominant male of the Mara, and there's also the area we call the marsh area. I'm sure Dr. Raf, you know it. At that point, I was also calling myself the king of the marshmallow, because it was so soggy and rainy, and people feared to get there. Well, we got a hunter's bird there. That is the secretary bird. Actually, call them the hunter's bird, and they like going in twos. I'm not sure why she or he is alone. We just get the silhouette of it because of the direction we are in and the light. And I'm sure the other one could not be very far from there. Either trying to warm up, going on top of that thorn tree, and as it warms up, she or he will definitely come down, because they tend to spend most of their time on the ground feeding. I hear a lot of noises from some spawings, and either they got some chicks somewhere, or not very comfortable with this particular secretary bird, because they have known also to go for their chicks or for the eggs. And I'm very happy that all is pretty good from where you are. So that's lovely. Just want to say hi to my friend, and we'll be in 1 second. Just give me for 1 minute. I say, maybe Mokampia Samana. And new transit appear. To 400. So my friend, we're just comparing notes, and he was wondering whether we have seen something interesting. And I told him we have a beautiful secretary bar there, and he said, yes, we are looking for lions. And I told him, of course, if you see lions before us, let us know. So this is the secretary bar there. And as I said, they spend most of their time on the ground. As it warms up, he'll be down, but there's a lot of dew on the grass. Taylor, good question. How far do these birds run? I have no idea, Taylor, but I can tell you they're fast birds, but especially when you see them landing and taking off. They're like small planes, you know. They just spread their wings out, Taylor, as you can see there, and they're like chick, 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 like, you know, girls wearing high-heel shoes, and they take off in a very nice style. And also on landing, it's the most amazing thing you'll see on these birds. But Taylor, if I'm able to know what's their speed on the ground, I will let you know. But they tend in general just walk and keep walking on the ground without running a lot, and they tend to spend most of the time there, where they'll always prey for snakes, reptiles on the ground. Midwest scientists, how wide are their wings? They could be doing almost up to 3 feet when they're out like that, and especially they are fully grown adults. They don't fly a lot. As I said earlier, they tend to spend most of the time on the ground. But comes to darkness, they'll always go back on the trees where they will always roost, and they got their eggs. And they are more closely related to the ground. And actually they are egos. Else. So more often on the ground, looking for reptiles, eat more snakes than anything else. And again, I'll apologize for my, breakages. You had a little break in my signal, in my picture, and my voice, but I think now we are back in business. But as I continue looking for my lions, we'll send you back to Sydney Mikosi.
I am now looking for the 2 male lions. They have been spotted somewhere here earlier, and according to the other vehicles, they went deep into these thick bushes. So I'm trying to reallocate them. I didn't have a sighting. So, but what I'm seeing here on the road, I'm seeing quite a lot of tracks showing the animals running away. So it means the animals, they picked up their presence. There must be somewhere here in these bushes. So there's no tracks coming out. Maybe they're gonna come out somewhere towards the Galago pen. Elizabeth, it's not safe to do walks in the rain at all. There is quite a lot of things we take into consideration before going out on a guided walk. And this kind of a weather is not advisable. Something very important is the equipment we are using on guided walks. Whether it is on TV or just a normal guided walk, you need, in a big 5 area like this, you need to have a rifle. And when it's drizzling or when it's raining, those kind of equipments are so much sensitive. Otherwise, the operational system of that rifle, it will get affected, and you won't be able to protect the guest when the crisis erupts. So now let's quickly cross over to Tristan, who is now on a vehicle.
I am indeed. I am on a vehicle, and I'm, well, ready to say hello to all of you. And also, as you can see, have a zebra that is busy plodding along as they do often. Now, it is a very good morning from my side of things. Pat is now back in the comfy sort of back section of the car and is now staying dry. He said it was too wet for him, so he didn't want to kind of, he's given up his Dive Lives things for now, so he didn't want to be wet. He wanted to be nice and dry, and so he asked if he could go sit in the back. And Luke says it's good to have the real men in the car. Pat, you're going to have a word with Luke when you get back. But anyway, it is a good morning. I hope that you're all having a wonderful day so far. Now, the plan is that, well, we were going to watch some zebra, but they've decided that they're going to go and do something else and go and disappear into the thickets. It's a bit difficult at the moment. As you can see, we've got the rain covers down on the sides because it is raining, and so that means keeping things on camera is quite tricky. So the plan is that essentially, Pat has checked the southern side of the property and kind of had a little look around, and not really too much luck. So what we're going to do is I was going to go up Zoe's, but we've just been pipped by another car. So I'm going to do a little turnaround quickly. We're going to go past Treehouse Dam. Then from Treehouse, we're going to head past Twin Dams, get into the Mulwati, and we're going to take Mamba. And then I just want to quickly go back to where we had Tingana and Tandi last night, just to go and check the termite mound. So the hyena that kind of came in there had very definite suckle marks. I thought at first it was pretty, but it wasn't. It was actually June, and she does that. We don't know of her having cubs anywhere, so it will be quite interesting to go and check around. Maybe that was a den site that she was using, or potentially there's some sort of kind of movement around there. So I just want to go double check that termite mound once again and just check the edging and see if there's any sign of hyenas moving around, or if maybe even Tingana got lucky and got himself a warthog somewhere in that area. The thing is when we left last night, Tingana had kind of given up on that mound. He was now mobile kind of westwards, sort of towards the northern side of Twin Dams, but he was so hungry last night and so kind of focused on hunting that I wouldn't be surprised that he got himself a meal, given the way that the weather's been, and we had obviously a lot of rain last night and wind, and that's always great hunting conditions for things like leopards, and I wouldn't be surprised at all that he was successful in finding a meal. I hope he was successful, because he could do with a meal. I mean, he's looking fantastic in terms of his muscle condition, but his tummy could do with a little filling up. So we'll have a little scratch around for him, see what he's up to. I'm hoping that he's going to be around and kind of with a full belly and a carcass up a tree somewhere. Wouldn't that be quite nice? I think it would be. So that's the kind of plan that I've got for the morning. Hopefully it will be a successful one. The nice thing is it's stopped raining now, which is good. So it seems as though it was just raining on Pat's Parade today, and now that it's we've changed over, it's going to be dry, I hope. Famous last words though, this is when rain kind of it's going to probably rain on me and make me very wet now, because I was tempting it. You would think I had learned a lesson about karma and these kind of things, and so I should probably not be saying that I'm not going to get rained on, and I'm probably going to end up being tanked upon. Well, what's quite interesting is that as we've been driving this morning, I've been getting updates slowly but surely from all the different camps about the rainfall that was had last night within the Sabi Sand section, and it's quite varied. So in Koro on the eastern side, they got 38 millimeters of rain last night, which is not very much. And then as you start to come further west, it starts to get more and more. And so once you hit Simambili, they got 60 millimeters last night. Now 60 millimeters of rain is a monstrous amount of rain. That is a serious kind of downpour. And so the Manyaleti River is flowing, as well as the Pungwe, which feeds into the Manyaleti. So they're both flowing very strongly, I believe. And then if you go down to the further south in the Sabi Sands, Singita, Londolozi, they got between 40 and 50. And then right down south towards Lion Sands, they got over 60 as well. So quite widespread, decent rain throughout the Sabi Sands. And as Pat was alluding to, it's the first kind of proper rain that that we've had in quite some time. So nice that we've actually had a really good storm. Good. We're going to head off to Treehouse Dam. In the meantime though, we're going to send you back up across to the Mara that is hopefully dry this morning. We've switched roles compared to last night, and hopefully David is having a wonderful time driving around in the sunshine.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have every reason to celebrate and to smile, because I have gotten my ultimate prize for this morning, and have found the cubs of the Sausage Tree Pride. This is just fantastic. I'm full of joy. I'm very happy. These are the babies. These are the cubs. But my question is, where are the mothers? And I just heard a little call from up. I think the mothers are calling them because they have seen there's a new species of an animal here, of animals called David and Archie. So the mothers want to be sure that their cubs are safe. And I can tell you, we are not going to hurt you in any form or shape. We just want our wonderful viewers to see your faces and tell you Happy New Year. Giraffe girl, I'm sure some comms broke there, but I'm sure you are equally excited by this view, Giraffe girl. And how are you today, Giraffe girl? And I hope you're enjoying to see these cubs. Two of them, and most likely those two they are playing, are 4 months, and the one to the right of your screen is about 3 months. And you notice how they blend in very well. Very typical hour for cubs to play, like now, because it's not warm. I'm just trying to look behind me because I think there's a little bush or kind of forest behind me, and that's where the mothers could be. Because I'm looking in all this open area, I do not see any of the mothers. There are definitely 2 mothers here. The younger one, her mother is called Limpy because she limps, and the other 2, we haven't given the mother a name, but it's being very playful this time of the morning, which is very healthy. Deja vu, they look fluffy, and I can tell you, deja vu, these cubs will survive. And what happens at the moment, the grass is full of dew, deja vu, but the fluffiness always cushions water from getting into their bodies, and the mothers know that they're safe where they are. I just want to have a little bit of a different angle because I don't want to go so close to them until maybe the mothers come close, because when the mothers get close, they'll have more confidence to play. At the moment, they are on their own. So, oops, they're up already. I'm not sure what exactly they want to do. And as I said earlier, I don't know where the parents are, but definitely they are not very far from here. What do you see, cubs? For those of you who have never joined us before, this is called the Sausage Tree Pride, and it's my favorite pride in the Mara Triangle. Your questions, comments gives us lots of joy. We like hearing from you, and you can do that using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. The younger cub of these 3 here is always the most curious one and very adventurous. So she will always leave the other 2 and start coming towards the car, and she's, or let me say he is getting more acquainted to us than the other 2, which are a little older. Now we have already established that the 3 of them are boys. While the question just breaks, as you say, Carol, that's the mother, something happens to the comms there, but maybe I'm trying to guess what Carol's asking. Does the mother leave instructions maybe to these cubs to make sure they're safe? Yes, they're definitely... Ahaha, very good. Carol, I got your question. Does the mother leave a babysitter like hyenas do? Hyenas are very social and very complex animals, but it's rather different for the lions. They have different racing. See the one that's saying is always curious coming to us? So, Carol, what would happen is the lionesses do not in general leave babysitters with their cubs. If they need to go to hunt, they'll go hunt and look for food, and the cubs are left on their own. It's not the first time I'm seeing them on their own. I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've seen these cubs on their own. And look at how beautiful they are, Carol. Look at that light. They know where to go, and I'm sure there have been a communication with them and the mother. See how close they are in relation to me and the vehicle. So we're going to wait for them to come very closely. Let's see if we can hear them calling. This is fantastic. I'm not sure, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you for a one-word tweet. What do you think of these cubs early this morning for the new year? Hashtag SafariLive. Look in the final control, said, this is so epic. And I'll say double epic. So they're going to pass on my right. Just look at them and look at the fantastic light. And look below tails and you can establish, just like me, they are boys. Still walking away, you can still see their spots. And how beautiful. Please tweet us one word. What do you think about these cabs? Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. And for me, I would be saying this is just magnifique. Ivy, thank you very much. Adorable. It couldn't be a better English word. Adorable, Ivy. Thank you so very much. That's very sweet of you, Ivy. Adorable. Now we have one that have stayed back there, and I'm not sure it will not take more than 5 seconds before he's up after a little yawn and stretch. Ivy saying that's truly adorable walk as he follows the other two fast cousins. Lions are very social cats, and definitely I would say the two are his cousins. Now you need to catch up with the rest. Please keep moving, because we would be happy if you could give us a bit of a play this morning, because when the three of them together, they are very playful, and you might think they are more or less the same age, but 1 month difference for lions is pretty crucial. Alright, he got the courage to walk, and definitely going to catch up with his cousins. Keep walking. I love how the contrast of the green and the grass there, and we've got some beautiful light. Cool breeze, I'll tell you, hyenas will not give these cabs a chance if accidentally they meet them. Now, cool breeze, there's one lioness in this pride that we call Limpy, and Limpy initially had 2 cubs. So the one cub you see there had a brother, and unfortunately he lost the brother, and Cool Breeze lost one of her cubs. Cool Breeze, nobody knows what happened. We have all had our own theories, and we have said hyenas, leopards, eagles, or disease. But yes, Cool Breeze, if a hyena get a chance to deal with this cub as a snack, they will definitely do it. There's what we call predator competition, and hyenas have been known to do that once in a while. And again, Cool Breeze looking below his tail, you can tell he is a boy. So this pride have 2 mothers, and they both had 2 cubs each, until of course Limpy lost one. So we've got 3 males. Isabella, you'd like to know if Kipuli is the dad. I would highly doubt. Now, we saw we saw Kingtail, one of the lions here, as they tried to turn around, mating with Kipuli at one point, and then shortly after about a week or 2, we saw her mating with another male that's called the Ondonyo Pike. So we are very convinced that the Ondonyo Pike males are the fathers of these 3 cubs here, because for about 2 months now, we have always seen those 2 males hanging around with these girls and with their cubs. And honestly, if these 2 males were not the fathers, I highly doubt that would happen. So, Isabella, my guess is Kipuli is not the father. We have known lions for what we call infanticide. If they get females with cubs that they have not fathered, they will always tend to kill them so that the females come in heat and sire their own cubs. My guess is, Isabella, these are not Kipuli's cubs. I could be wrong, though, but we all think they belong to these 2 males that we call the Ondonyo Pike males. We have seen them now for almost 2 months, and very close to these cubs, as you see them pulling their tails there, which is so epic. And I'm sure I'm still waiting for your tweets on these 3 very playful cubs here in the Mara Triangle in Kenya that belong to the Sausage Tree Pride. Look at that. What are you trying to do there? Is that's not cool? And they're right in the middle of the road. Exactly. With you look, and how wonderful we'll be able to catch more audience This is so exciting. It's just making my new year better and better. Hello, young boys. Where are your mothers? I'm sure your mothers are somewhere. And a few minutes ago I had them calling from behind me. There was a little forest. And I guess that's where they are. And maybe what they're doing is just making them become more independent. Being playful, they can see things for themselves, trying to dig the ground, sharpening their claws, and bonding more. Because as I said earlier, lions are very social cats, and they start at a very tender age. Copy. A very good morning, everyone, and warm welcome to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. We got the most epic sighting of lion cubs playing here in front of us. My name is David, and on camera with me today is Archie. Archie, how is it going? And we're very lucky to have spotted these cubs playing, and they belong to a pride of lions that is called the sausage tree, and it is so cool to see them playing right about 5-10 meters away from where I am on this new year. Well, our drives are live, very interactive, so should you have any questions, any comments, please send them through #SafariLive. As I said earlier, we are in Kenya and we're in the Mara Triangle Game Reserve. Now, there are 3 cubs here and all of them are boys. I know they're boys because I've been following them for quite some time, since they were born. And 2 of them, if you look carefully, are almost the same size. They're 4 months old, and the smaller one, the one pulling that, is 3 months old. And how playful is this? Hello. Isn't this cool? Not sure they got themselves some piece of hide or some mud is what they're playing with. And what would happen is they could be sharpening their teeth and just making them a bit firm. I'm sure, look, I might have lost there. I only got question and then I lost you. I'll be happy if you'd bring that question again. So we have established they're all boys. And if you look below their tails, you can tell. And in the background there you can hear some francolins, which are not very happy. Molly, a very good morning and welcome to this exciting sighting that we got of these 3 cubs. This pride is called the Sausage Tree Pride, Molly. Sausage Tree Pride, and they got 3 cubs. There are 2 mothers here, and one mother has 2 cubs that are 4 months old, and the smaller cub is 3 months old, and the mother of that cub is called Limpy. So Molly, this is the Sausage Tree Pride, and these are their cubs. So the 2 big ones, 4 months, the smaller one, 3 months old, and they're slowly and surely becoming independent, Molly, because I've been here for the last, maybe say half an hour. I have not seen any of the mothers. I have not seen any of the adults. And Molly, this pride has 5 females in total, and of the 5 females, 2 of them are pregnant. And I'm sure, Molly, you've been following us. This is where we have the very famous kingtail female, and the kingtail is the one that has a little split on her tail. Now, good news, Molly, kingtail is also pregnant, and the other female, which I have missed now for about a week, is also pregnant. Mark, the mother, would not be very worried. We have been following these lions for quite some time, Mark, and they have got habituated to us. So what we do, Mark, once we get here, we'll always switch off the car, we lower our voices, we are a bit soft, and we don't have a lot of body movement, so we remain as we are. When we realize they're getting a little nervous or something's happening, we either stop talking, we don't keep moving, and should we feel there's any more concern, then we pull the car back. But I can tell you, from when these cubs were born, as I said earlier, they're anything, 6, 7, 8 meters from where we are. Not an issue, Mark. Just so good when we come this close to nature. See how fluffy they are, and you can see the dew in the grass. Adrian, these cubs do not stay very far from the adults. Oops, what a good jump there, Adrian. I hope you saw that. What would happen is they are definitely in touch with their mothers. The longest, I would say, the distance apart could be about half a mile. You do not want to leave your cubs unattended, as much as, unlike hyenas, I had a question there before, where we'll get hyenas leaving a nanny to take care of the youngsters or the cubs. Lions may not do that, but there might be a particular point where they can still keep watching their cubs. When I got here, I had the mothers calling these cubs, and what exactly they're doing, they're going to the direction where I had the call coming from. Now this one still is busy trying to explore and investigate what is in that mud. What are you trying to do? And by so doing also, they sharpen their claws. And of the three, this is the younger one. And as I said, the mother is called Limpy. More playful than the other two, which are older than him by a month. Hello there. I don't know what name we are going to give him because of the three he is more playful. Hello, beautiful face, fantastic. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, comments, questions are always very welcome. Hashtag SafariLive. And for those of you who are joining us now, we're in the Mara Triangle. And engineer, you'd like to know how many cubs a mother will drop at a given time. Lions have been known to drop anything between 1 to 4 cubs. Now, these two particular females in this pride here gave birth to 2 cubs each. And yesterday or the day before, we saw the oldest female in this pride that's called Kinktail. And I had a poll to the viewers like you, engineer, and hopefully if you're lucky to see her today, I may ask you the question, like when you see her belly, how many cubs do you think she'll drop? And many people, we had a percentage of 55%, and I gave a choice of 1 to 3. And they said 3. So it's always anything 1 to 4, but engineer in average is 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for having joined us, and this was a wonderful moment. Do not go very far because we might be sending you more notifications as our cubs are slowly disappearing to the forest. They may be going to join their mothers. And on behalf of myself, David, and the camera operator Archie, thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll be seeing you again soon with more exciting moments. Very good. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And how exciting has this been, seeing these 3 little bundles of joy playing with us in the dew of the grass in the Mara Triangle. Now, the direction they're running into, that bush, that forest there, I'm guessing that's where the parents are. And I will not be shy to join them. They have no reason to go running there. But Indigo Girl, you say that's pretty mischievous because all of a sudden he's just running through the grass, ting, 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 ting. That's very mischievous. And what I think I'll be doing once all of them end up in that little bush there, I am going to explore and find out if the mother's there. See, the other one is equally mischievous, running Indigo Girl, but I'm guessing most likely the mothers have told us, come quickly, come home. Well, as I'll try to get close to that little forest and find out if the parents are in that bush, I'll take you back across to my friend Tristan in Juma.
Well, good luck, David. I hope that the little cubs do find Mom and that everything is all okay and that the moms are around, should I say, not just Mom, but Mom's squared, and that they're all there. Now, what we're doing at the moment is we were heading towards kind of roughly where we had Tanya and Tingani yesterday, not because I was hoping that they'd be in the same spot, but just in case you could find some tracks. And then we got a report that there was a lioness that's crossed into Vuatela somewhere close to where we are now. So just trying to see if I can pick up a track and then from there be able to try and follow those tracks and find her. I don't know who she is or how sort of recent it was, but they're saying it's after the rain, so hopefully she's not far. And I mean, I know we drove here earlier with Pat, and there was no sign of any lion around. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can find her. I'm hoping that we will be able to pick up her track. As soon as, if we see the track, it's going to be then very sort of simple. It should be simple enough to follow it. After the sort of rain that we've had, it's quite sort of soft this morning, and that's going to make life a lot easier for tracking, that's for sure. The only problem is that if it's just a single lioness, often they tend to be quite mobile and they move quite a lot and go into sort of thickets, and it becomes quite tricky to follow them. When it's a pride, you've got a lot more of an ability to follow lions, particularly even the tracks. It's the difference between leopard and lion a lot of the times, is that instead of 4 feet, you can, in Kuma's case like yesterday, you would have 44 feet to look for, which makes it a much easier task than just the sort of one set that you're looking for. And also, like I say, when a lioness is on her own, she's generally walking to go and find something, and that means that she's going to be moving quite fast, and so she might cover quite a fair amount of ground, but we're going to just try and see what we can find. Also, just want to quickly check while we're here, I want to check an old den site for Gwen, for hyenas. Obviously, we were talking earlier about whether or not June potentially has little ones and where she could have them, but no sign in that den there. And so just wanted to check this den site. This is one where Gwen has had cubs, and then there was a warthog male that was in there. I can't remember what Taylor called him. Craig, do you remember what Taylor called that warthog? Wilbur the warthog? Was that it? I think that's what it was. Craig has got a good memory. It's because he's fresh from leave, so he's got, his memory bank is intact. It's also because you're younger, Craig. That's why you can remember things. As you get older, you start to forget things a lot more. And Luke's confirming that it was definitely Wilbur. So Wilbur the warthog used to live there as well. But no sign of Wilbur or any hyena either. Right, now I'm going to check around this area, because this is where I think that this lioness might have gone, and then I'm going to have a little scratch around and see if I can find her tracks. And so while I do that, let's send you back across to Sydney and see if he's had any more luck with those males on his side.
I am around the Viotella area. I'm now heading towards the Galago shortcut. The two avoca males got disappeared in this block, and they are still in there. We have been checking here everywhere, but they are stuck in there. There was a sighting. They have been spotted going in there. So maybe they are doing some hunt in the middle of the block. So I'll be driving around here and see if we cannot be lucky and see them coming out. So the rain is also coming back at the stage. Let's hope that doesn't ground them in the middle of this block. Yeah, Jay, we are very far away from the Masai Mara, so the weather is completely different. But also in South Africa, not all the parts of South Africa is raining today. There are areas which are dry at the moment. We need more rain. So it's just drizzling at the moment. This is not a lot. Yeah, Belinda, I'm hoping they will come out here because we want to see them. We want to see them. They were walking very fast according to those who saw them, but now they went in the block and got relaxed. So they must be somewhere in here. So there's no tracks at all coming out. And I'm not alone who is looking for these avocas here, so maybe one of us is going to be lucky with them. So somewhere here where I'm heading to now is where exactly they have been left going deep in these bushes. I have seen quite a lot of tracks as well showing animals are not comfortable here in the area. So that is why I'm convinced that they might be in there attracted by something. The two avokas, one of these two or the third one of these three is the one who attacked Koki. So I'm not too sure which ones are these. So I will tell you when I see them. Maybe it's that one, but mostly the one which attacked Koki, mostly is solitary. That is the one we normally see the most by himself. Maybe that is why he decided to go and attack the hyenas for food, because he is much more solitary. Hunting must be difficult for him alone. It was truly interesting, Isabella, because then we saw that hyenas, they don't just hold the positions as the matriarchs for nothing. So that hyena proved us the bravery. So there is 3 different drainage lines here where I'm driving. So these lions must be delayed deep in these drainage lines, because for them to get to the open place, they must have to pass about 2 drainage lines. So now let's quickly go back to the Masai Mara with David.
Well, good luck, Sydney, and hopefully you're going to get the avokas, some of the largest males I've known in Juma. And the only one interesting thing I remember about the avokas is when the Nukuhumas had made a kill, and it was a huge buffalo, and the avokas picked it up so quickly, and they came and pushed the Nukuhumas out, the 3 of them together, and they started feeding on that buffalo. Not sure how many buffalo you still got there, because here I got quite a number of buffaloes which the Sausage Pride will be feeding on until maybe next year when we get the wildebeest coming in. Now the beauty of the Mara is the vastness, the openness, and how you can spot, you know, some of these animals from quite a distance. These buffaloes are almost a kilometer away from where we are, but I can easily see them without getting so close to them. Now, the Sausage Pride, as I said, or saying before, have been known, or we know them to do a very good job to bring down buffaloes, just the females alone, without the help of the males. So this is what they'll be feeding on, and no wonder they have been sticking in this area for quite some time. Now the white birds you see there, those are the egrets, and the egrets will always wait for these buffaloes to move for them to feed. That's why the egrets are not moving, because the buffaloes are not making it easier for them to get some breakfast. So as soon as the buffaloes move, they'll start disturbing the grass, and once they disturb the grass, we'll have all the insects around this area jumping up and down, and that's what the buffaloes, those egrets, will be feeding on. In the background there, very good, some of them are just flying, getting some rides on the backs of the buffaloes. Farah, what a nice place to live, and I can tell you also what a nice place to work in. I mean, I personally enjoy being here every other day, and I would want to do this all my life. Farah, look at that beauty there. Look at the lighting, look at the trees, look at the buffaloes, all those birds, the beautiful green, the different shades of green. And Farah, in the background there, that is the Olololo escarpment. And I was talking earlier with some young boy there called Gilbert, and I was saying or explained to him how we name our lions here or our cats. And I told him we got a particular pride of lions that we call the Olololo, because they tend not in this particular part where we are, but where the Olololo escarpment starts. There's a pride that lives there. So if you keep moving to the right, as Archie is showing you, that's towards where that pride lives, and not far from that particular area where we also have our camp. And our camp is way on top of that escarpment. Can you believe how beautiful it is for us to look down every morning before we come to work on that beautiful, as you know, view? But unfortunately, sometimes when we're coming, it's always too dark, like when we start. But when you're back in camp and you're enjoying a cup of coffee, ooh. Cold breeze, it will depend on what buffaloes, you know, you'll be thinking of, or how close you can go to them, or how fast. Now, the females might first sit there and just watch you going towards them. But cold breeze, I tell you, the males are always a nightmare, and they'll easily cold breeze bring you down. We look at the casualties or the deaths that have been caused by buffaloes in Africa. I would say 8 out of 10 of those are caused by the males and not the females. And like that one there, is showing you, chances are cold breeze, that is a male. And you see the distance between him and the rest. Sometimes, you know, as I've always said, when they get old, they're always shown the door by the girls, and they become very grumpy. So to me, you have a better chance of surviving walking through 500 buffaloes of both males and females and their calves. But meeting 1 or 2 male buffaloes, you may have 0 chances of survival. I love how those egrets are making that area looking so colorful with their white. It's quite a contrast of the green. Christian, I agree with you. You'd prefer this than the white snow of Michigan. Thank you very much. Green to me is always a good color. I love green. And I'm sure, Christian, you have seen me wearing some green kind of, we call it a shuka, like a Maasai shuka, because I love green. And I always imagine, I'm going to show you how my shuka, Christian, looks like. See that there? Do you like it? Very good. One day when you come here, I'll get you one, Christian. And I've always joked that should I have my shuka and you get a breakdown of the car and I lie in the grass and there's a concern of buffaloes or lions, they may not see me because I am going to blend in very well. Again, as you say, it looks better to see the green there than seeing the snow you have. I don't know how long your snow will go on, and I'm trying to guess. You could be in winter, Christian. Until when will your snow melt and you have some beautiful weather like this? End of January, February? You could let me know. Tweet #SafariLive, and I'm sure Luke will tell me for how long will you have the snow. Back in Africa, we rarely see snow. And when we see snow, we'll see snow on very high mountains. In Kenya, we'll see snow on a mountain called Mount Kenya. David, you'd like to know whether these buffaloes can be crossed with cattle. It has been tried, but it has never worked out. I mean, buffaloes and cattle or cows look the same, but they are totally different families. So it's not possible, and I haven't seen or heard of any success of people doing a hybrid of buffaloes and cows. The only difference, I would say, unlike this, what we call the African buffaloes, the Asian buffaloes, people have been able to domesticate them, and people have been, able to milk them and get milk for either making tea, coffee, or the children. But in Africa, we haven't gotten anywhere close to that. Our buffaloes have remained pretty dangerous, and they haven't been crossed with cows. The only cross, I would say here, people have tried to do, we got particular zebras in Kenya that we call a gravy zebras. We find them in the north, we're not where we are, and they have been able to hybrid them with horses. And they've gotten a breed that they call a zebroid. That's like a half zebra, half horse. Just like the mules, again, the progeny stops there and does not continue. And zebras got very soft backs. But oh, Christian, I feel sorry for you. You still got snow until March. Well, you have to bear with what, is what it is. But if you can sneak to Africa before March, it'll be a good idea. And you'll come and run away from the snow and enjoy these green and wonderful temperatures we have. And Christian, why not this wonderful wilderness that we got here? Think about it, let us know. You could either come visit us here in Kenya, or you can come visit us in Juma in South Africa. Oh, Bisfella, well, thank you, David. And I'm sure, we share the same name. And knowing that you can cross that with cattle, that's very interesting. It's very interesting because when David was a small boy, I used to call the buffaloes the Maasai cows, because in any form, when you think of it, they got so many similarities morphologically, as much as they got, major differences in their, for example, gestation periods. The buffaloes would be like 2 or 3 months holding their calves before they give them, like cows, maybe 9 months or so. But I've always wondered why they have never been crossed. And I think there must be some genetic reasons why maybe the chromosomes rather cannot match, I would think. But just knowing that the bisons there can cross with the cattle there from Bistro, thank you very much, David. You have given some wonderful education for 2019. I'll always remember that. Well, buffaloes and the cattle egrets, you need to move buffaloes to be able to feed those egrets, because so long as you remain there, those bats are not going to move. They need you to move. They need you to disturb the grass for them to get something. Very good. Move on, and I'll find out if I'm going to see the mothers of those 3 calves. And as they do that, Tristan definitely is working very hard to give us some exciting news in Juma.
Indeed, we are looking for a lioness. So, there's tracks on Gari Main of her from before the rain, and then I can't find the tracks of her coming over onto our side from after the rain, but she was actually seen first thing this morning crossing on this side. So I'm just trying to see exactly where it is. Unfortunately, there's been quite a few cars that have gone up and down, which never makes it that simple in terms of finding a track and being able to kind of see it, particularly in this kind of area. The only tracks that I've been able to find so far is hyena tracks going up and down. And what I'm trying to do is just check all the game paths that are kind of heading in a northwest direction, because that's the direction they said she was traveling. She came onto Cheetah Cut Line and then just straight northwest into Vuyatela. And so there's quite a few of these game paths that run this way, but at the moment I don't see really much sign of her, to be honest. I would have thought we would have picked up tracks a lot easier than this. I've been scanning the edges of the road, which is always where you need to look when it's been raining, because the edges get quite soft and the cars don't compact it nearly as much, and so when something like a lioness walks on it, her weight will just push it down and kind of give it that sort of softer feel. But like I said, there's so many cars that are driving in the area that it makes it quite tricky to be able to know exactly where she's walked and exactly what's going on. Now there's a car that's hopefully going to go past and going to go through. Morning, how you? Good. And so I don't know where we're going to go now, because like I say, too many cars are driving up and down for us to really track effectively, but we'll see. We'll try. Let's have a look. Niconico, what is the rarest animal in this neighborhood? The rarest animal in this neighborhood would be... what do you think, Craig? At the moment, Stefan Winterboer would probably be the rarest animal in this neighborhood. He's very seldom seen at all on Juma these days. He's been spending most of his time up in the Mara. But in terms of actual animals, let's not joke around too much, but in terms of actual animals, I would say probably something like a caracal, striped polecat. They would be considered very, very rare in the mammal side of things. In bird side of things, there's countless birds that are considered rare for this area. and insects as well. There would be a few. Now, the reason why I stopped here initially is because there was a hornbill that had flown towards a tree just in front of us, which this tall tree over here, and I thought for a second it might have a nest there, but it's now flown away because it kind of went up against the tree, and they often do that when they have a nest, and so I was hoping that there was going to be a nest there, but there isn't. So we're going to carry on. We're going to try and see if we can find this lioness or anything else, and while we do that though, back across to Sydney.
I gave up on those lions. I will not be looking for any of the spotted cats. I haven't picked up any of the tracks for the spotted cats this morning. As I indicated earlier, that when it's raining, it's difficult because the rain always rub all the tracks. It's what I've been... Maybe with this rain drizzling, the leopards must be hiding. KB, the oldest and female leopards and male leopards in Juma. I am not sure if there is any other older than Tingana and Tandi. Those are the ones I know which are about 13 years old. So I will have to check if we do have the other very old leopard, older than Tandi and Tingana. Tandi and Tingana, they were born the same year. Just checking here while also listening for in case if they pick them up behind me. So I'm just going to do my concentration much more towards the Viola access. Maybe we might be lucky with the spotted cats in that area. I didn't copy that question. If you can repeat that. The rain, it does cause a lot of problems on us to judge the age of the tracks, because when the animal has gone past here now, when it's drizzling, so the track is going to look old. So a fresh track now, 5 minutes to come, is going to look old as if it's a track for last night, when it's a fresh track for now. So that is the problem. Another problem is, if it's not drizzling, the rain stops now. The animals will come here and cross the road. If you come here again 30 minutes later, because of the moisture on the ground, the track is going to look fresh. And again, if it's just overcast for the whole day, that track is going to look fresh. So too much rain as well can affect trekking, and also the too much moisture on the ground also affects the track. So the tracks by the moisturized areas, they stay much longer looking fresh. So only the elephants were here. So now let's quickly cross over back to Tristan and hear how his search is doing.
Well, we at this stage getting wet, which is when it rains and you're on drive. It's a wonderful experience to get soggy underpants. But anyway, we luckily have a fairly nice rain suit on that's keeping us kind of dry. But I believe Sydney was talking about leopards and who's the oldest male and female that we get that are currently around this area at the moment. So the oldest male at the moment that we kind of have in the area is Tingana. He's much older than Quarantine. I mean, there could be a kind of toss-up with him and Mfokazi. It's a bit tricky to know exactly how old Mfokazi is, and Tingana to that matter. But Tingana just looks in a lot better shape, and so you would think that maybe he's a little bit younger than what Mfokazi is. It also could just be that Mfokazi has been so kind of beaten up from all the sort of moving that he's done, and that's why he looks a little bit more dogged than what Tingana does. But those two would be the sort of two older males, around sort of 12 years old for Tingana. Mfokazi, like I say, we're not really 100% sure, but must be at least 11 or 10, 11, somewhere there. So he could be 13, he could be 14. It's difficult to know when you don't see them regularly, and also if you haven't got any sort of history on them or where they were born. So those would be the males. In terms of the females at the moment, the oldest female that we're seeing regularly is Tandi. So she's also about 12 years old, and so she's the eldest of the females that we see. There are, of course, other females within the Sabi Sands and also males that are older, but you know, they're not in the area that we are at the moment. We're actually quite lucky in some respects in that, you know, a lot of the female leopards that we've got in this section at the moment are fairly young. So if you look at Sabui, Shadulu, Tlalamba, obviously very small, Kuchava, all much younger individuals. Talking about Kuchava, she's actually sitting on an impala kill on Cheetah Plains at the moment. The guys are on that side, so quite interested to see what's happening with her there and whether or not there's suckle marks or any sort of sign of cubs, because there was rumors that she was denning at some point and kind of, you know, that she had little ones around. Good. Okay, well, we're still scratching for this lioness in the hope that we can just pick up a track somewhere. So far, no luck, but in the meantime, though, let's send you back up to David, who, well, has had a lot more luck than we have this morning.
We're trying to see whether we can catch up with it. It was an eagle, and it's called the long-crested eagle, but it just flew away when we were just about to put her on frame. But chances are we might get another one. Well, I left my lion cubs and decided to move on because I wanted to know where the mothers are. Nothing to worry, look. And I haven't been able to find out where the mothers are, but I got a feeling that little bush they went in, that's where the parents are. They will never leave them unattended, you know, for a long time, and they'll definitely also not be very far from them. So eagle gone, and I've left behind those cubs, wanting to chance if I would see the mothers. And as you saw in their bellies looked very well fed. So they must have had a kid, not last night, the other night before. So the area they are in, they'll stay there, and chances are I'll be coming back this particular area this afternoon. They've been playful, they're full, lots of water sources in this particular area. I don't see them going anywhere the next 2 days. And if anything, the buffaloes that we just showed you, if they would want to look for some prey, they know those buffaloes are there. And that's the only prey I've seen around this area that they would be going for. Well, the males will always be a distance from the females, and I'm like, if I don't see the females, it's because I want to believe Niconico viewer, are those cubs bigger than dogs already? Almost, depending on the breed of dog Niconico viewer you're talking about. I would say almost there. And they got a good punch. The two that are 4 months, you'll be surprised, Niconico viewer, and I'm sure you know how lions cubs grow very quickly. And if you see a lion cub that's 6 months old, you don't want to believe it. It looks like a 3-year-old dog, you know. So those are 4. Let's see by end of February how they'll be looking like Niconico viewer. And males tend to gain their muscles. Females already here, 4 months old, very big. And for the mothers to get the confidence just to let them on their own for that long, because we stayed with them for half an hour without seeing the mothers, there's a chance they're like, you know, getting assured the cubs are going in the right direction in terms of growth. And as they become mature, the mothers want them to be independent as quickly as possible. They know the challenges they face out here. Lions. Courtney, very good. Courtney, and you'd like to know at what age these cubs will start eating meat. And my apologies again, my picture is on and off and my voice keeps breaking. It's because of the area we are in. Sometimes our signal maybe doesn't get to your living rooms in style, but our team of engineers usually do the best they can to fix that as quickly as possible. So, Courtney, anything 4 to 6 weeks, I'll tell you, lion cubs will start eating meat. Ideally, we think 2 months, but these particular ones here, at the age of 5 and about 6 weeks, I started seeing them nibbling a bit of meat, but the average is about 2 months. But again, of course, it will depend on the cubs, how quickly they're growing, how they're being introduced to the meat, and what to think about it. So this one's 4, 6 weeks, they already started eating meat, Courtney. And I think they eat meat a lot faster than other cubs. So the last I saw the males of the Sausage Tree Pride was around this area, but of course they move a lot. Sometimes when you don't see them, as I said earlier, you'll always stop the car and listen for them rolling or calling. Beautiful weather, it has warmed up, feels so good at the moment. And this is like a day or morning, you want to be out here the whole day, just enjoying the breeze, just enjoying the view of the Mara Triangle. Remember, your questions or comments are always very welcome. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. This area a few months ago was filled with multitudes of wildebeests. Paula, how are you today? And I hope you are enjoying the drive today and you are asking the success rate of the cubs. And I would say to me 30 to 40% could be a good percentage of cubs that reach maturity. 30 to 40%. And Paula, the biggest challenge of the cubs, or the highest mortality rate, I would say, of cubs in Mara is hunger. And hunger comes number 1 to me, and of course maybe number 2, I would say predation, and number 3, infanticide from other males. So Paula, to me, hunger is number 1, lead of course of cubs in the Mara, and 40-50% of them will always reach maturity. But occasionally we get diseases, which is quite rare. And Paul, I'm sure you've been following us in this particular pride of the sausage tree. There's one female that we call Limpy that had 2 cubs, and unfortunately she lost 1. At the moment she only got 1, and we think, you know, it could have been anything, Paula. We do not know exactly what happened. We are only seeing 1 now, and we've been guessing predation maybe from other predators. In this particular lager that they love staying, there have been a particular leopards that also stays the same lager. You will notice predators will share a territory comfortably without any issues. issues comes when it's the same species of predators trying to be the same area. And there was a time, I think about a month ago, I was looking for this pride and I came so close to the cubs on their own, the three of them, and the mothers were not anywhere. And for about 15-20 meters was that particular female leopard, and it was very, very close. Not sure what she wanted to do, but my guess was she wanted to predate on one of those cubs. But unfortunately or fortunately, as soon as I got there, she took off. And I found out the mothers of those cubs were about half-mile away from those cubs. I did not understand what exactly was happening that day. That was dangerous. Vaguely, I guessed maybe Limpy lost one of the cubs to that leopardess. I do not know, and actually nobody knows. So I want to keep searching for those mothers of those three cubs, because that's there also when I'm talking about when I had them interacting or getting so close. Yes, that's good percentage, and chances are, from what I can see now, those cubs will make it. Because if we still have enough buffaloes around here, of course, we'll have once in a while, say, hartebeests or toppies coming through here. I'm sure the sausages will have a lot to feed. And we're on what, 3rd day of January? And June, July is not far. Sometimes days just fly. And we'll have the wildebeest coming back. And once they're back, I'll be guaranteed these cubs here will be going to watch almost 9-10 months. And 10 months, they definitely make it. The most vulnerable age to me is from, say, 1 week to about 8 months. Anything after 8 months, chances are they'll make it. Even if Kipuli will come back here, Kipuli has been the dominant male in this area, and finds out that he did not sire these cubs, it was the old Donyo Pike males, he'll have 0 chances of trying to kill them. So they'll have made it by then. He'll only have to start mating with the sausage girls to have his own cubs. Well, we'll keep looking for anything else that we might be seeing, but at least I know where I'm coming back this afternoon, where those cubs are. That must be where the mothers are. Well, Tristan, you may have to give us an update now in Joma.
Well, I will give you an update on how we're doing. We are wet at this stage. It's starting to rain quite a lot. You can see there's a terrapin that is in amongst the grasses that are below Twin Dam. So we're in those 2 little pans just off the back end of Twin Dams. It's been so long since we've been spent any time in this area. It feels like for kind of forever ago that there was water in this particular section. Now, the reason why I came here is because, well, when you're failing to find cats, it's sometimes nice on a rainy morning to listen for frogs and try and see what frogs you can find. It's a good time, obviously, for things like foam nest tree frogs to start developing their foam nests. I haven't seen any yet. And so it's a good place to come and look for them, and I thought, well, what other frogs could maybe be around? Often when we get rain like we did last night, you'll get a few bullfrogs that will come out, and there'll be various kind of individuals that will sort of make some noise, and you probably can hear a few of them in the background. There hasn't been, surprisingly, too many of the banded rubbers. I thought we would hear a lot of them this morning, and like I say, a lot of the foam nest tree frogs, but there's been very little of them. There's been a few painted reeds that have been calling, so that little ticking sound that you're hearing. I heard some brownback tree frogs earlier when we were driving around, and so there's been a kind of few of those that have been making a bit of a noise, but other than that, not as many frogs as I'd hoped for. And this is probably one of the best spots. There's actually a banded rubber calling right now, so there was hoping it'll call again. It's got a very distinct sound. The banded rubber frogs, they're beautiful frogs. They got this kind of bright black and red on them, and I thoroughly enjoy when it's frog time, because you get all kinds of very cool Well, there we go. It's about what I was about to say. So Lexi's in final control. She says that frogs are so underappreciated, and they are underappreciated. They're amazing creatures. I absolutely love spending time with frogs. I find them fascinating creatures. So this is the banded rubber that I was talking about just now. They're really kind of quite a crazy looking frog, and they've got this sort of black and red to show that they are fairly kind of toxic things and something that you shouldn't really sort of be eating. That's obviously that aposematic coloration that's telling everybody what they can do. Now I'll play what they call like so that's the call we're listening for. So that's the call we're hoping to have heard, and then to try and find them. They're a very cool little frog to try and see. Anyway, we're going to see what other frogs we got. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Sydney, who's got two doves that apparently are doing what Craig wishes he could do with Pat in the back and stay nice and warm.
So look at what I've got now. I've got these two birds. This is a couple, and there's a third one, but the third one is not right there. I saw somewhere on the very same tree there is a third one. Look, they are now moving close to each other. Maybe they want to insulate each other. The air now is getting chilly here where we are. Those are the two Cape turtle dove, and I'm sure this must be a couple. It's a husband and a wife. The doves can be very much monogamous. They are partners for life here. If one of them dies, the other one is not going to look for a new mate anymore. The easiest way to recognize that Cape turtle dove from the other doves is that stripe. You can see it has got a stripe on the side of the head. Both of them has got that kind of a stripe. Oh, now they decided to leave us here. They are following each other, going towards that direction. Yeah, the cats, they like to catch this kind of animals, and even big cats such as leopard. I saw a leopard before catching a dove, and the leopard was successful. So they also catch this kind of birds, but they are too fast. The doves can be very fast. So now we will be going around the Buffalo's Hook Dam, those areas, and see if maybe we cannot be lucky with any of the lovely cats there. So the search for the cats is still on. Maybe Wasana's gonna come out somewhere there, or Tingana. The animals on the road, not all of them move away from the road. For the animals to move, there's a lot of things animals consider. If the animals has got babies, they will move because they want to protect their babies. So on the road, sometimes animals don't move. They just feed. If it is a kill, they will move it away from the road because of the traffic. But if it's the elephants feeding, we will come and enjoy the sighting while they are feeding right on the road. Sometimes some of the predators, they do lie down on the road and don't worry about us. Some of them, we even leave them on the road after having a long sighting. There is no sign of a cat on the road yet. Convincing updates are always on the ground. So now let's cross over to one of my colleagues.
Well, much like you, Sydney, we are being rained upon quite heavily, which is not ideal. And so what we're doing is we're sitting at the next little puddle here. This is a great little puddle for frog action, and so we were just trying to see if we could find any froggies that might have been somewhere on the sort of periphery and on the fringes of the sort of edging of the puddles, and trying to just see if we can actually see any of them, because they often will sit and hang out on those little grass edges, and they will kind of make some sort of noise from there and call, and they'll use those vocal sacs to be able to then start attracting mates. And like I say, we should see a lot of frog action when we get rain like this. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow morning if it starts to kind of warm up a little bit, then you'll start to often get a lot more frog action when it warms up, and then you'll start to see the bullfrogs coming out, and hopefully we're going to get that massive bullfrog kind of explosion like we had a few years ago, where they were fighting on the roads every day, and it was quite something to watch. They go through these crazy wrestling matches where they throw each other around, and it makes for quite an entertaining show. Now, Carol, what is the largest frog in Djuma? Is the bullfrog. So that is the biggest that we see. I'll show you what they look like if you give me 2 seconds, because I have it somewhere here. In fact, I was actually just looking. No, those are birds, so I don't want to look at birds. I want frogs. There we go. So there is the bullfrog. That is the one that we get over here. It's a... well, I don't know if you could describe it as a pretty frog. Some of the frogs that we get here are fairly pretty, but this is not one of them. You can see it's a big frog, and these guys will go after all kinds of crazy things. They've even been seen taking mice and all kinds of small mammals, so they'll have a ferocious appetite, and they really do go after a lot of things. Now, in terms of how big they are, they can get to 12 centimeters in length, which, when you think about 12 centimeters, that's almost the sort of size of my hand. So they can get quite large. Big mouth with big teeth, and they'll go after all kinds of things. And what you'll find is when there's a bit of a hatch of winged alettes, so termites, reproductive termites, that's when you see a lot of them on the roads. In fact, this morning we actually saw a bushveld rain frog very briefly, and Pat was trying to show you guys it, and then it disappeared, but they were feeding on the little winged alettes that were around. So first thing in the morning is always a great time to look out for all kinds of kind of froggy-like creatures. Unfortunately, though, this little pan is quiet. When we drove past here a little bit earlier, this is where we had to change a tire, and so, you know, we thought maybe we would stop here again because there was a lot of noise earlier, but it's now gone quite quiet and really not too much sort of happening on the fringes. Unfortunately, there's the odd terrapin that's around, but they're not nearly as entertaining as the froggies, and I'm surprised there's no foam nest tree frogs at this stage. What I can hear is a few common cacos that are calling. So the common caco, I'll get that call for you now so that you can kind of recognize it. It's got a very sort of clicky sound to it. So that's the common caco. And they are calling quite a bit this morning. So in terms of what they look like, they're not quite as sort of brightly colored as the banded rubbers, but they do still have that little bit of green on them, and then a very broad band that comes down the back. And like I say, you see these guys quite commonly in this particular area. Sorry, I've got the light that's reflecting, that's trying to illuminate my face. It's also now causing havoc on my screen, so I do apologize about that. But this is what we got to look forward to, is lots of these little guys. They really are awesome little animals, and World Frogging Day will be in a few months' time. Unfortunately, it typically is right at the end of the frogging season, which is not ideal, and so I'm hoping that, you know, maybe we'll get some late rains and the froggies will be out for Frogging Day. It's always nice to celebrate frogs because we don't do it nearly as much as we probably should. Right, now the plan is from here, I'm not really sure where we're going to head. Unfortunately, all my plans have been thwarted somewhat this morning. There's been no sign at that little mound where Tingana was in and kind of looking, and where June was. Didn't see any kind of signs of hyenas moving around there. What was interesting is we did hear a lot of hyenas calling inside Little Gari. You'd find a kind of thing where, you know, they calling a lot, and maybe they're moving around inside Little Gari, and that's where the den is. Possibly, I'm not really sure. Right. Now, we're going to carry on. We're going to go try and see if we can scrounge out a last-minute leopard. While we do that, though, let's send you, I think, back up to the Mara is where you're going to go. David seems to have had a lot more fun of it this morning than what Sydney and I have, and so let's see what he's up to now.
When the rains come with a bit of, I would say, concerns when the animals tend to disappear because of the rains. But we're very lucky here in Kenya or in the Mara Triangle. We still have this beautiful weather. But Tristan was with me here. This is what, about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. And it was so funny. There's one particular area I was, and we were only about 1 kilometer apart on a drive, me and him. He was with Manu and I was with Archie. Manu is the other camera operator we work with. And where me and Archie were, as I said, barely a kilometer apart, we were being hammered by the rains. We had to bring the windshield up, flaps down, and we thought it was not getting very good. So because of all the antennas we used to reach to your living rooms on your screens, we had to power down and switch off the camera. It was a nightmare, and the rains could not stop. And the first window I got to communicate to Tristan just to find out how he was, and also asking him whether he had powered down on my cell phone. He was asking me, where exactly are you? And we looked at the coordinates. We are only 1 kilometer away. And it was so funny how he was dry and not a single drop of rain. Well, that happens a lot. And that was, I would say, 2 weeks or so ago. Now it's their turn now. I think he must have taken the reins from the Mara to Juma. I would want Tristan to confirm that. As much as I call him the leopard whisperer, I might be calling him now the rain dancer. I don't know whether that makes any sense to him, because they did not have as much rain before he left here, but now I hear they're enjoying lots of rain, and I'm sure they got their roof covers on top. Well, I decided to move on and chance for anything else that I might see on the way. Not a single drop of rain here, clear blue sky, but who knows what the afternoon will bring. Cool breeze, very good question. How do we know our direction when we drive in the Mara? Well, cool breeze, I'll tell you, is a bit tricky, and out of experience, cool breeze, we use certain land features. We use mountains, we use trees, we use rivers and escarpments, and of course certain valleys. So we'll always know, for example, when I'm driving this way, I have an idea, because you have to know, are you driving due north or are you driving due south? And if you lose that bearing, cool breeze, for example, in good daylight like this, in good light like this, I know that Ololo escarpment is on my left, and so long as I keep it on my left and I'm going, say, towards due north, I know I'm going towards due home. If I'm going in the opposite direction, which is south, I will know I am going towards Serengeti National Park in Tanzania. And of course, we also know the sunrises and the sunsets, so we know sunrise will come from the east, so I will know that is the eastern horizon. That's what you use. There are certain days, of course, when it's dark, and of course you cannot see the Ololo escarpment, you'll not be able to see trees, you'll not be able to see mountains. So you have to put in mind before you start, or before darkness falls, where are you and the direction you're going. Carol compasses you can use, but we try, Carol, to make it as natural as possible. But of course, if you're in a lot of trouble, Carol, of course, youth or compass would come in very handy. But Carol lets you know, like the area where we were, we had lots of signal breakings, and the same area has no network coverage. It's very patchy, so your compass also might not help you. Even if you use your Google map, you might not even know where you are. So you have to be smart. We have had cases, Carol, of where new guides who are just coming in the industry, spending nights out in the bush, and some get lost, and we have to trace them the following morning. And there's some, when we meet them the day after, they'll ask us, "Excuse me, sir, where is this particular camp, or where is this lodge? And they say they drove, they ended up like, you know, we can't keep driving and we don't know where we are. And they spend the night in the bush. That happens very many times. So you just basically need to use certain land features to know. And of course, there are certain trees also which are very iconic. There are certain trees that we know. We have always, you know, once I see this fig tree, that is east, that is west, that's north, that's south. Because this tree is always here. It does not move. Unless, of course, you venture into an area that you have not been. But I'll say for Mara, you know, we have covered most of the areas. And Mara, by any standard, is huge. We are talking of about 1,500 square miles, 1,500 square miles. By any standard, it could be the size of certain small countries in Europe. It's huge. It's getting a little windy now and some nice breeze blowing. And since the wildebeest left, we have been seeing lots of elephants in this area. We saw lots of them in the morning, and I'm hoping to see more on my way back home. Because at the moment, the grass is very lush, very soft, and if anything, I've been seeing lots of calves around this time. Giraffe Girl, we rarely use a night vision, and I'll tell you what we have learned, Giraffe Girl, out of experience. If your heart tells you something might go wrong, you very quickly have to jump on the big road. That's the first thing you do. And if you will not know what direction you're going, either towards home or away from home, the road, because this big road like the one I'm on, we have been here for a very long time, there's a particular mark that you're going to see, and that mark, be it a boulder or be it a small little, you know, drainage like that one, that always carries the water away from the road, you'll always remember, when I see this particular drainage, when I see this particular boulder, when I see this particular tree that bends like this, I'm always going away from home or home. Night vision we rarely use. If anything, we'll always use the infrared cameras just to see where we are. And I don't remember any one time either me or my colleagues ever spent a night having been lost in the bush here. And night visions, I'm not sure they might help you. They might give you vaguely an idea of where you're going, but so long as you don't have the right compass, so long as you don't have the direction in your mind where to turn or where to go, the night vision will just give you the visibility, you know, of making sure it's clear. You can keep driving, you're not driving through rocks or trees, but they will not take you home. You have to have some kind of GPS in your head on where you're going. Excellent. So I'd be happy to see some ellis on this wonderful flight, or some buffaloes, because at least I know back in my mind where I have left the lions, and I'll be coming back there this afternoon to catch up with them. Well, Sydney, what or how is the rain situation in Juma now?
The rain in Juma is making it difficult this morning. As I indicated earlier, I gave up on the lions. Now I am in the middle central part of the Juma Game Reserve, trying to see if I can find some of the leopard tracks here, but also it's difficult. So these animals, maybe they are in cages here. So only the hippopotamus tracks are dominating here where I am. So the hippos has been here during the early hours of today. Neither Osana nor Tingana's tracks is on the ground. Oh, you can see that I have got a very small, beautiful head. So the impalas from the bachelor heads, now by the beginning of January, they will be trying to display their ability to mate. They will be showing each other, their strength. They will be chasing each other, making noises such as So that is what they are going to be doing. You can see now they are even listening to me, thinking that I'm coming to challenge them. So by May is when the rutting season starts for them to breed. From January, they start to collect the females for breeding, but breeding is going to start by the May month. So let's hope these impalas are going to attract maybe any predator. Yeah, so that is how the impala talks. They've got a very interesting language. So these impalas, they are looking very much healthy now that there's too much vegetation here. They must... A giraffe girl, I can go to the bush of Amazon. I can go to the bush of Amazon. So the bush of Amazon has got quite a lot of wildlife. I'm sure the wildlife there is much more completely different to what we are having this side. Senzo is laughing at me when I'm saying I'll go and guide at Amazon. No tracks coming out from the drainage lines. Me and snakes, we get along, and this is something very important. I don't worry about snakes. I get along with all the different kinds of snakes. Pythons, I get along with these animals. So the reason why I am not afraid of snakes is that when I grew up, I come from the royalty and my father was a chief. In the area, when they find animals such as the pythons, the other guys who are not afraid are going to handle them and bring them to the chief, where the chief is going to communicate with the conservation department to come and take it. So I grew up seeing quite a lot of different snakes coming there and different animals, because people were not allowed to kill some of these animals. So they used to be very much strict. Every time there's a python seen in the area, even if it's in the bush, we are going to look at it and we will call the department to come and take it. Because people were afraid of the python, some, and for the python's safety, because some people will come and try to provoke these snakes. Yes, the black mamba, and I saw it there, and we had a very good sighting of that black mamba. And we also saw a Mozambican spitting cobra some time ago. And I'm hoping one day here I'm gonna see a big python. I can't wait to see a big python in Juma. Call 6. Unfortunately, the throne already is now with my brother. So my brother is the one who is now responsible. So by the chieftaincy, this is how it works. I'm going to use the hyenas as an example. Hyenas and elephants, they are much more matriarchal. So there, we have got the oldest sister. We call the oldest sister Omakazi. Omakazi is the one who is there in order to give a support and in order to give final decisions. The chief, he doesn't give a final decision. He is responsible, but he must have to work in consultation with the oldest aunt. And the oldest aunt, she leads the group of all the sisters. And we have got the guys on the other side. But as the guys, they are all low-ranked, including the chief himself. He is low-ranked when it comes to the senior authorities. So when the chief dies, there is a chosen brother of mine. This is done by the father before. It's like a will. He will decide that when I pass, Sydney must have to take over. Sometimes there is a big contradiction there because you find that the father has chosen someone else, and then if I am not behaving well, he decides now to choose someone else, and this is what creates the fights in between the brothers. And apart from that, you might find that the brother which has been chosen is not supported by the oldest sister when we have to inaugurate. Some of the areas there in Venda and other areas, you find they don't have a chief or they don't have a headman because the people are disagreeing. When the oldest sister is not supporting, nothing is going to happen. We are not going to have a chief or a headman until they do as per her instructions. So if you check here by the hyenas, some of the hyenas, they do fight in order to become matriarchs. But some, they inherit. We inherit. We don't fight to become the chief or the... No. You can fight, but you're not going to win because the oldest sister is not going to approve. She's the one, as per the law, customary law, who must have to give the final approval. And then you have to choose as a chief. And then as a chief, you have then to choose your right hand, someone you are going to delegate every time when you're not around to look after everything. Yeah, there's a comment if that makes Sydney the little chief like Osana. Yeah, sometimes they normally choose yeah, something very important. This is how it works. If Sydney wants to be the chief, let's say now Sydney is married already. Sydney is going to inaugurate the chief next month. After next month, if Sydney already has got kids, the kids Sydney has got already, none of them is going to take over the throne because it was before Sydney was inaugurated the chief. And when Sydney becomes a chief, they have to check, they must have to go and marry someone from another royalty so that they can preserve the royal blood amongst the other chieftaincies. So if Sydney is going to get married to someone else who is not from the other royalty, they used to disapprove the kids in order to take over. So they must have to sit down sometimes and take decision on behalf of Sydney to say, Sydney, you are going to marry from that family because they are following the bloodline. So it used to be very difficult, but these days everything is changing. So it's quite a complicated arrangement. Yeah, so it means if I want to be that, it means if I'm married already, I must have to get married again and have the wife which is associated with the position. And that is where we are going to have the next chief or the next headman. So you have to have 2 wives. No, it's not complicated. You know, I know some of the viewers might say, no, Sydney is not supposed to share this. You know, my father used to have 12 wives. My father used to have 12 wives. And 12 wives, imagine 12 wives is quite a lot. And all of these wives were coming from the different royalties. So which means after he became the father, after he became the chief, then he was getting married by the other royalties. So he can choose anybody from any of his wives in order to take over. So I have got about 40-something brothers and sisters. We are a very big family. We are a very big family. And when at home, it was difficult for the other people from the village to see who's Sydney's mother and whose mother is that. Because when we're hungry, we just go and eat anywhere. We can eat from the first house to the last house, you know, as kids. So it was very much interesting how I grew up. So now let's cross over back to Tristan and hear his side of the story.
Well, Sydney, in comparison to you, positively none. I've only got one brother. But this Impala herd, I suppose, would resemble Sydney's family when he was a kid. There's all the kind of kids kind of paying attention and looking at what's going on. That's a lot of people. I actually want to know from Sydney, did his dad buy a bus to take them all to school? Because to take 40 kids to school must be quite tricky if you have a normal car. So you'd have to buy your own bus that you'd have to be able to kind of transport everybody up and down and all over the show. And family holiday must have been quite something when 40 kids wanted to all go around and kind of play it. I can't even imagine how those poor mothers tried to keep those kids in line, because that is a lot of kids to keep in one place, and we know how kids can be. But anyway, it's quite incredible. I only have one brother, so that was quite easy, and I have an older brother who's kind of kept me in line somewhat, and it made life, I suppose, a lot easier than having that many. So much smaller family than what Sydney's got. But what's interesting is that exactly. So I believe a lot of you are joking as to how do you even remember your siblings' names. That must be quite tricky to. I suppose you'd want to be. It would be good if you're kind of born earlier on, because if you're one of the first that are born, then it's just additions every now and then, you know, and then you can kind of learn it slowly. But imagine being the last born. Because you don't have to learn all those names at once, which would have been quite tricky, that's for sure. So at least if you were born kind of first, you just, as ones were added, you kind of remembered their names. But as soon as you're the end kind of one, you got a lot of things going on at once, which would be quite tricky. Anyway, let's get back to some wildlife. What you can see is that I think we're going to get a lot more rain, because every single animal is sitting down at the moment, and there's a whole kind of thing about cows, and when cows sit down that it's going to rain. And so maybe this is what's going to happen, is that we're going to get rain through the course of today. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's been raining most of the morning, and it's still very cloudy and cool and low-lying clouds, and so I wouldn't be surprised if these wildebeest and zebra get a lot of rain on them. Now, I was hoping that when the wildebeest herd that we see around here, that we were going to get a live birth at some point. Why is this Bateleur eagle landing on the ground here? That's interesting. I wonder, is there maybe some afterbirth there from a impala or something? Or maybe... because they eat carrion, and it's definitely feeding off something. I wonder what you're feeding off. Now, I'm sorry, I do apologize about the rattling of a packet. We're just trying to keep a whole bunch of stuff dry on the car, and so we used a black paper bag, not paper bag, plastic bag, sorry, to try and kind of keep it all together. Now, that Bateleur, I'm not sure what it's feeding on. Maybe we should go and take a little bit of a closer look. What do you think, Craig? I'm just worried it's going to fly away. Let's let it have some breakfast first. I can't see what it's actually kind of eating. What it could be is, if it's not afterbirth, it could be even an impala lamb, and they do often die in these times of the year when it gets cold like this. After a hot stretch and you get cold and wet, you'll often find very small animals will die from it, but it doesn't look like there's a carcass at the feet there. So I would imagine then the next plausible thing that it could be feeding on would be maybe termites, winged owlets, but given that they are carrion feeders, I'd be quite surprised. I want to just go a little bit closer, just see if I can see anything. If we just get a little bit kind of closer. Don't fly away, Battalier, stay where you are. I'm going to just try, there's like a little hump that I want to get onto here, because that might be able to help us with being able to see what's going on in the grass itself. Now what is there? There's definitely something that it's feeding on. I just can't see what it is. Anybody see a carcass in that? No, I can't see a carcass. So I don't know what it's got, but there's obviously some sort of food item that it's getting. Maybe, like I say, owlets that are on the surface. It doesn't look like it's big, whatever it is, and there's not bits of meat on the beak. And so I would imagine that it is the little owlets that this Battalier is taking advantage of. Anyway, it's that time of the day, unfortunately, where we are going to say goodbye to all of you. It's been an interesting morning, not a very exciting one from Djuma, but still lots of interesting things to talk about. So from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you all this afternoon for hopefully a drier sunset safari.